Okay, Sadie, here's another test video. So, if you're catching this video, it's because you're on my friends list, that's fine. Tonight's dinner is going to be very simple. We're going to use some rice-a-roni, but if you don't have rice-a-roni, because rice-a-roni retails about $1 a box, but if you don't have rice-a-roni, okay, you can make your own rice-a-roni with bouillon, vermicelli, and regular rice. Not cedar rice, regular rice. And the way you do that is you take the vermicelli and, basically smash it up into small pieces. You proceed the same way you do with regular rice-a-roni or other non-brand name items, and put a little bit of butter or oil or shortening in the pan. Roast it till it's a golden brown. Add about 3/4 cup of water, depending on how much rice you have. It's a judgment call. It should never be deeper than the first phalange on your index finger, okay? And then you can add your spices and your seasonings. Now, if you are doing rice-a-roni, they're already done. If not, you need to figure out what kind of seasoning you want. If you have bouillon, you can put bouillon in there. Or if you have some regular dried herbs, you can use those. Or you could actually add, and this is going to be backward, this is curry from California Natural Spices, which is actually locally distributed. Or if you have chicken with your dinner, you could add chicken shawarma seasoning. But you don't have to have anything fancy. You can use any kind of spices that you have available. And, that's how you could start. And then another thing you could serve with that is a simple vegetable. Now, again, we're dealing with emergency rations, or we're dealing with keeping the budget low. So at this time, you can use canned goods. Or if you don't have those, you could also use some frozen food. Now, I'm not a big fan of using too much of the frozen food at once. I'd rather fresh, but it doesn't have to be peas and carrots. It really doesn't. You could do wonders with a Swede, or as we call them here in the States, a turnip. Oh, that didn't look good on us. Oh, there, you clean that up. You can use turnips. So, you can steam a turnip, and you can also roast a turnip, and you can boil turnips. And it's a good side. It's very neutral in flavor. It's not expensive. They're usually anywhere between 29 to 79 cents a pound. And depending on how many people you have in your family, adults or children, usually 1 turnip per person is a good guide. If you have other vegetables being put into that, you can use more than 1 turnip. Lemons, depending on where you are, can be used either as a drink or to season your rice or your chicken. The outside of the lemon, if you actually just use the rind with your little scraper, the smallest attachment on your grater, a zester, or even if you absolutely have to, a steak knife that's serrated, you can get the zest from it and add a nice little flavor to your food. I recommend that when you use lemon zest or any lemons that you're going to cut, that you wash them. And the way you wash your lemons, you get a little bit of water and some salt, and rub the entire surface of the lemon. You'll be surprised how much comes off your lemon when you do that under running water. Now, so we've got our pan of rice-a-roni or homemade rice-a-roni, and it's cooking. Now, you can at this point add some lentils or not, and just let it cook and simmer under a covered, in a covered pan, and that can be your side, okay? Or your main meal, depending on if you're vegan or vegetarian, or how you base your food. You've got your lemon for seasoning on other items, as well as your Swede, also known as turnip. And I'm going to pull that out. If you buy a whole turnip, it's got greens on the top, so that will be your green vegetable. If not, you can use, again, frozen vegetables or canned. It doesn't have to be peas and carrots. In this particular case, I'm going to use something else. I know that usually if you're trying to balance, you don't always put all these starches together, but I am going to be making corn on the cob this evening, and I'm just going to boil it. I'm not going to microwave. I'm just going to boil it. Probably going to boil it with the turnip, to be honest with you, after I wash the turnip. And it's a simple dinner, simple corn, turnip, and some curried rice or rice-a-roni, and that's your meal. If you want some meat in there, you can always add the meat to the rice-a-roni, the homemade rice-a-roni, or you can make your meat to the side. In this case, I do have rice-a-roni, so I'm just going to curry the chicken. I'm going to curry, that's real curry too. I'm going to curry the chicken itself, serve with the rice-a-roni, garden fresh vegetables, and make it happen. And that's going to be a simple meal. I would say for the portions and servings you're using, you're going to spend less than $5 to feed about 3 people. You can double it, of course, depending on how many people you're serving, and you'd still be spending less than $10 for a dinner for the evening. And this is cooking smarter, not harder, and this is something you can do at home during these quarantine times. Please remember to peel your turnips, your Swedes. Don't just, why do I keep showing the same bad side? What is that about? But peel your turnips or your Swedes. You can wait until after they're boiled to do it, but if you do, don't boil it with the corn, because you don't want to do that. It just doesn't taste the same way, and it will flavor the water. It will flavor the corn. So that's up to you. But that's a simple hint you can use this evening for a simple dinner. It doesn't have to be tonight. It could be any night, and that is your quarantine broadcast. The Detroit Witch Cooks. Your quarantine broadcast for the evening. And for a treat, I always tell people, especially if you have small children that are home, you always want to try to think about a treat. You can get a can of pears, if you don't have fresh, and sprinkle a tiny bit of cinnamon on top. It'll taste a little bit like apple pie, and it'll be good for them. All right. And yes, you can mash turnips into mashed potatoes. So, I hope you enjoyed this, and this is broadcast 1 from Kenya, the Detroit Witch Cooks.